Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Roz Slaughter from FitnessBusinessMastery.com and creator of the 1 Hour Trainer Summit. I'm here with Eiljah Bowie, and we're going to be just kind of talking a little bit about all things fitness, Facebook, advertising, marketing, sales, retention. This is someone who not only has done it big in his own business, but now he's helping a lot of people with his agency really understand how to market, attract their ideal client, and get the lowest cost per acquisition possible. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited for this opportunity. For those who may not know who you are, maybe they're living under a rock. They're not really on social media or anything like that. Why don't you share a little bit about your backstory and how you came to be with your agency and what you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. So, like you said, Eiljah Bowie. I really came into the industry. I used to work at Lifetime Fitness. So I came from the big box realm. And as you know, you came from big, it's great. There's good things that go on there, but there's something missing as well. And so I decided that I could go off and I felt like I could do some things better on my own. And so that's how I started my own fitness business, subleasing space and just grinding. The biggest shift for me, obviously, when you leave the big box gym is nobody's handing you clients anymore. And so, it's kind of a wake up call. And marketing and, marketing in general, because it really wasn't social media per se, because I hadn't gotten to Facebook advertising much then, was kind of in my background. And so I was like, man, I'm going to hit the ground. If you name it, I've done it. Thumbtack, just the grind, the hitting I went through it at one point. Every friend I had on Facebook, I sent them a message, just old school guerrilla marketing techniques. But at that time, this is into 2014, going to 2015. I'm like, let me get into Facebook ads, right? And I started dabbling with those, and everyone wants to give this oh yeah, and it just exploded for me. No, dude, I wasted I think $45,000 over the course of that year on Facebook ads.
Wow.
Dropped. Yeah, when I looked at the end of the year, I was that's how much I spent. But I learned so much that year on what works, what doesn't work, how to work with Facebook. Because one of the things I find, not only in my own business, but just working with clients and now, huge franchises now, is that a lot of times everyone's trying to find out how to circumvent or how to do the hack, to get Facebook ads working. It's no, we just got to work with the system. And so all that learning that, just kind of in the grind that year, turned around the next year, and I was really able to actually have a systematic flow and start to really grow my fitness business. Like I said, I love business. I love growing businesses. And so that's really why I got into the fitness industry. But this passion for what I was doing and, I started helping other people is really what started to grow. And so it turned into, like you said, my consulting agency now, where, this is what I do. It's, I love, because I think it's really cool because I get to not only, obviously in my studio, Columbus, Ohio, I can help, the people that are right here in my backyard. But, the fact that I can go help, somebody in France with their fitness business so they can help other people. It's it's kind of like I help them as well. So it's really cool to me. So that's how I came into it. And like I said, my consulting agency, the legal LLC is Eiljah Inc. The last part of my first name, Eiljah Inc. But I have actually I'm wearing the shirt. My main community of fit pros, I call it the Supreme Fit Pro. Mm-hmm. And so that we got a Facebook group and stuff. And so yeah, that's how I came about to where I am now.
Awesome. Well, I'm always you're out here doing it, making it happen in a big way. A lot of the viewers may be in the beginning stages of their fitness business. So they may be an independent contractor, like we were hustling in someone else's gym. Mm-hmm. Can they get involved with Facebook, and do you advise them to, or should they just do the grind until they got enough clients, build up some cash flow? What's your recommendation on that?
So my recommendation for sure, and I always hope if you never want to do something to put yourself in a dire situation, right? Like I did, but it's an uncomfortable place to be, especially if you got, at that point, it was me, right? I didn't have, my now fiance and things, depending on me. And so, I always tell people, find out, all right, if you're going to jump into Facebook, find out what you want a budget to be, right? Is that 300, is that 500 a month? You don't need to go spend thousands off the back, but find out what that budget is and either set that aside or go acquire a new client or 2 clients, whatever, where you're like, hey, look, this is how many clients I got to pay my bills, but these extra 2, the money I get from them, I'm going to kind of use to market and grow myself, to kind of put back into the machine. And so literally literally with $500 or so, you can really, do a really good job marketing yourself with Facebook ads, just with something that small.
Outstanding. So I love that. That's a good framework for someone. Now, let's talk a little bit, because a lot of people say, you know what, I've done Facebook ads. I got some new clients who they're like, I've done Facebook ads, but they actually were boosting posts. Yeah. So let's just talk a little bit about boosting posts in the beginning, so that people can know a little bit of the differences. And can you share with a boosted post versus a sponsored ad?
Yeah, for sure. So it's kind of this dilemma that a lot of people are in. That's the number one thing I hear as well. I've done Facebook ads before, is that it's on Facebook. It's Facebook's fault. Because, if you got a business page or something, it just always say, boost this post, you could reach this many people. And they never really did a good job educating people on what that actually meant and what all the ads platform on the back end really means. And so the goal of a boosted post, the reason that was first pushed out, it was to take organic content and to further its reach, right? So that's the whole goal. It's almost to try to make it go viral, if you will. Mm-hmm. It's, when you boost a post, Facebook, the algorithm, what it's looking to find is people who are just going to like, comment, or share that post, which is good. We need that. That helps the ad performance. But in the grand scheme of things, if I'm trying to sell you something, I could care less if somebody comments, or shares. I've had some, great converting ads where maybe we only had 10 comments on it or something, maybe no shares and a few likes, but on the back end, it's converting like crazy where, we're signing people up. And so Facebook has all these different objectives, reach, boosted posts falls into the post engagement category I was talking about, conversions and things like that. And so the difference between boosted posts, one, you can't get as specific with your targeting, right? You're just kind of boosting to a very generic audience and a mile radius, and age, demographics. And some fit pros get really excited about that. It's like, oh man, for $10, I can reach 10,000 people.
Exactly.
And it's not, that's the wrong mindset to have, because I much rather, and I know you much rather, I'd rather sit down with, give me 50 people who I know are dealing with, a pain I can solve for them, that are in a need for my services, than just 10,000 people, just speaking in a room of 10,000 people, hoping someone comes in. And so that's kind of the basic differences there. And so all the different objectives you can choose in Facebook, the algorithm is going to go and it's going to work to get that action for you. So again, boosted posts, you're going to get lots of likes, comments, and shares. But when it comes to sales or people signing up, that's why a lot of times you're not going to get those things.
Great answer. So there may be someone who, you and I, we've been playing with, like you said, you lost 45,000, but you didn't lose it. It was really an education.
Right.
I've invested a lot of money in Facebook, hired a lot of different agencies. A lot of people tell me, I could do this. I'm going to get you this many leads. I'm going to be able to get consistently. What I've found is a lot of people are hoping, guessing, and wishing that they can get something. And if they strike gold once, they're going to do it over and over. They don't really know what they're doing. So let's kind of, for those people who might be, not understand what reach means, might not understand algorithm. Can you just touch a little bit about the esoteric terms and stuff that any newbie should understand going into Facebook?
Yeah. So great question. Because you're so right. So reach is how Facebook determines. It's basically how many people within an audience, which you said, how many people it can get on, right? So just because there's 10,000 people on Facebook within an audience doesn't mean necessarily it's going to be able to reach all 10,000 people, right? All 10,000 people may not be on their phone or desktop or whatever it is. And so the reach is the actual amount of times your post, your ad is actually getting shown there, the ability to be able to reach on there. And so that's reach. Algorithm is what fuels Facebook, everything on Facebook. And they have separate algorithms, but the advertising algorithm, for those of you who don't know, and I was just talking to somebody about this, that Facebook ads is 98% of Facebook's revenue. So it's $1 billion conglomerate. Yes, so 98% of the revenue comes from Facebook ads. So this is a huge, important piece for them. And so they want you to be successful. Everyone thinks, Facebook just wants to take my money. Trust me, Mark Zuckerberg's not in the business of just taking your money. He's actually made changes here recently that shareholders are like, whoa. But he knows long term that's going to be able to keep the users trust, the businesses trust, spending money and attention with them. And so the algorithm is built to work for you, but you have to set up your campaign properly. So like I said, if I'm looking for engagement and I tell the algorithm that's what I'm looking for, it's going to work its hardest to go find people. So for instance, our example of 10,000 people. Facebook has what's called dark data, which is literally data points and connections that us as humans can't see. We can't connect the dots on, but the algorithm, machine learning, is smart enough to do. And so he can say, hey, out of these 10,000 people, Roz is trying to get, show this post to people who like, comment, and share often, right? It keeps track of all those things. And so out of those 10,000, maybe it takes those 5,000 that like, comment, and share, and it shows it to them because it's trying to work for you. Now, if I tell Facebook, hey, I'm looking for a conversion, and very specifically, I'm looking for, someone who, qualified, filled out a qualifying form for a, $400 program, go find me people like that. Well, it's going to start out and it's going to find people of those 10,000 that are most likely to take the action that I want or have taken a similar action. It's going to start there. But then as people start to take that action, it's learning, right? It's machine learning. It's going to keep building data, and it's going to get better. It's going to start being able to connect that dark data, those dots, and say, hey, this is what someone who, takes this specific action looks like, and it's going to show it to more of those people. So the algorithm is really built to work with you if we set up our campaigns right.
Outstanding. I love it. Thank you for that. I think that a lot of people are going to get value out of understanding that dark data is basically something that's being collected from so many different sources. Like when you get on there and they say, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite magazine? This is all information that Facebook is utilizing to actually find those ideal people for you, the prospects that you want, so that it saves you time, energy, and money.
Right.
So you were talking about campaigns, and let's just give me an idea of what a basic lead generating campaign would look like.
Okay. Which is, I think, is another great question, because so a campaign, I always set up campaigns. I recommend a campaign is built around a very specific goal or program, right? And so inside a campaign, you can have different ad sets. So there's 3 levels: the campaign level, the ad set level, and the ad level. So the campaign level is kind of like the overall arching goal we're trying to accomplish, or the program. The ad set level allows me to define, okay, audiences, right? Or interest, like who exactly, because for instance, as Fit Pros, we can help everybody, right? The formula for getting fit is move around, eat better, right? That's it. Like, whether it's athlete, like that's it. Like obviously the difficulty level and things change like that. But so if I have a program and I'm trying to bring new people in my gym, especially if I work with, different avatars, women, men, age ranges, well, I need to speak to them differently, which is another thing that a lot of fit pros don't do. They kind of give the, shotgun one message approach and say, hey, you want to lose weight? Yeah, everyone wants to lose weight. But so the ad set really allows you to do that. You can define an audience. And so you can say, hey, maybe this ad set is going to be for women. And more specific, you can break it down to this is going to be for women 40 to 60, because I talk to them different than I would a 25 to 35-year-old. And so that's your ad set level. You can put, like I said, different interests and age range. Then within that ad set level, you can create an ad, which is what actually physically gets shown on their Facebook feed. So they'll never see, prospects will never see the ad set targeting, all that. They just see the final product. But it allows me as a business owner to have a really nice view. Right? All right. So I can say, maybe Roz's 28-day program. That's the campaign name. Awesome. I can click in there. And I can see, all right, the women ad set, the men's ad set. I can click in there and they have different ads, right? Same program, but the face, the focus, how I speak to them is very different. And so that's the 3 levels what it allows you to do.
Awesome. Cool. So like a lot of people say, oh, you know what? Leads. I need leads. What do you define as a lead for a prospective client so that they know that they are actually getting what they want? Because a lot of times I think there's confusion. Is it an application? Is it a like? Is it an engagement? Can you share with us a little bit about what a lead looks like in your world?
Yeah. So for me, and you're so right. I hear coming out, I'll get you leads. First of all, he can give me 1 million leads. Leads don't pay my light bill. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I can't go to, AEP and like, hey, I got these leads. Like, that doesn't pay anything for me. So you're right. Defining what a lead is really important, because generically what a lead has been in the internet marketing space is an email address.
Yes.
Name. And that doesn't do much for me, especially with now email's been very cluttered. You can't get open rates, past 20, now you get email open rate 25%. People are like, yes, like 25%, like, holy crap. And so for me, we always try to go in, and it depends a little bit on what their setup is. Like, I always do a 2-step funnel, right? Because I like to kind of double opt-in is what I should say, funnel. So I like to have people on my landing page. I give them the information. I give them what they came for. And then I say, if you're interested, click this button here. When they click their button, it brings up a pop-up. They got to give me name, phone number, and email address. And that's just, that's the bare minimal. All right, I'll take that. I'll qualify that as a lead, but I have two types of leads for me. So that's like a kind of a soft lead, right? Maybe they put in a fake email phone number, but once they have that information, then and only then do I allow them to go to the application page. Mm-hmm. Then on the application page, we can find out more information, but I ask them again, first name, last name, email address, phone number, which is cool because sometimes you'll see that now the more action I've taken, I've made a more serious prospect. If you'll see maybe somebody who put in a fake number or something on the first one, now it's a real number, or a real email address. You will find out, some questions about their goals and things like that. And one of the things I like to do as well is financially qualify. Yeah. Right. And so when someone fills out that step is called an application, but now to me, that's a qualified lead. Like, it's not just this, this name and email over here. This is a qualified lead. I know some information about their goals. I know their first and last name, email address, phone number, and I know that they can, the range that they can afford. Right. And so that's what I qualify. And when we work with clients, it just depends on. So for instance, let's say you don't have that. Let's say your funnel is just landing page, straight to application, thank you page. Well, great. You got to get some type of information. You have to get something from someone that you can actually use. That's a value for you to qualify as a lead. So I wouldn't qualify anyone a lead just because they landed on the page. They got to fill out the form, and answer the questions for me that I've decided you have to answer for them to be qualified as a lead.
Awesome. So let's just talk a little bit about, a lot of people talk about CPL, cost per lead, and we'll get into some metrics as well. But what are you seeing in 2018 across the board? We're a month in, little past that, and, you're getting to see a lot more data than, for me. I get to see my business. I get to see my handful of clients in my mastermind. But what are you seeing? Are they going up? Are they staying the same? Where are we at with the Facebook landscape?
So, coming in the Facebook landscape, we probably have the highest cost per leads we've ever seen since Facebook started doing advertising, which some people get mad about or scared about. And so it's not something to worry about or get mad about. There's a couple reasons. First of all, we just came through the fourth quarter of the year, which is the busiest time to advertise in general. I think a lot of fit pros, when they run an ad, they feel like they're competing against Orange Theory or 9 Round or Lifetime Fitness or Equinox, whatever it is, which is true. But you're actually competing against Audi and Walmart, and you're competing against everybody. So Facebook is an auction. Like, you're not just competing with your own competitors, you're competing with all businesses in general, even the national brands who are coming in and saying this. Obviously we have overlapping avatars. You're competing against everybody. And so, especially in the fourth quarter, right? October, November, December, where people really start getting in, that's that buying time of year, cost goes up because Facebook is an auction, right? If it's literally, if you think people understand, what an old fashioned auction is, that's literally what this is. It's just digital now. And so the more people that come to the auction, obviously, more people that can bid on this item here. If I say, hey, I got, this iPhone, there's, the cost to acquire that iPhone is going to be higher than if there was just, 50 of us in the room. So that does always rise in the fourth quarter. And then for fitness professionals specifically, January is always still a busy time because all the sports try to capitalize on the New Year's resolution goals. So it's like new year, new me. We know those people are going to be coming. And so again, there's just more people competing. And so naturally it raises, if you think about an auction, just naturally raises some of those costs, the cost to play the game, higher, as well as, over the years, as again, Facebook's grown bigger, the cost to play the game just naturally risen. And there's no like specific rate that Facebook come out and says like, hey, we're raising it. It's just, again, the nature of the auction. Again, back in the day when they first started, I mean, you could, literally you could get a lead, like a qualified lead for like 5 cents, like literally. And so, that's changing now, but it's actually a good thing for us, those who run legitimate businesses and things like that. And we know how much a client is actually worth to me. I'm more than happy, because for the first time ever, right before Facebook, we were, especially as small business owners, it was dictated to us what we had to pay and things like that. For instance, I come to you, hey, you want to be in my magazine? We have 5,000 monthly subscribers or readers. Cool. How do I know if my avatar is in there? How do I know if they're even going to flip to page 38 and see my ad? Or I got, this radio, broadcast, or this billboard, like, now that, and they used to say, hey, it's $1,000 for this. Well, now it's kind of shifted where we get to tell Facebook, hey, this is what I'm going to spend to be able to reach my market, right? You have control over that. You can say, like I said, you can cap and say no more than 500, right? I'm gonna work with 500, and that's what I'm gonna spend. You don't have to go and get told, hey, you want to be in this magazine? It's $1,000, and just kind of hope you reach your market. So it's actually a good thing for us that we have these tools. We just got to play the game.
I love it. Playing the game, you got to be in there. You got to be in it to win it. And I think that, like you were saying, one of the things that I'm excited about is that, as the advertising cost per lead increases, it's going to wash out those people who don't really know what they're doing and aren't really willing to look at the data and say, hey, how much is my cost? What is that client actually worth to me? Exactly. If you don't know what that client's worth to you, spending $150 for it, you might get a little bit shook. And you're like, shit, I don't want to do that. For me, knowing that my average client, when they come in, is a $2,000 client, I'm keeping them from 6 to 9 months. I'm okay with taking that $150, $200 and say, hey, I'll give it to you all day, every day, if you can keep it coming. So that's why working with. So I want to make sure that everyone, because you're giving such great value here. Say that I'm a prospective client of yours. What's that conversation look like? What type of data point? What do you need from me in order to move this needle and move us forward along that sales process with you?
So some of the things that you said right there are the biggest question I ask. Like, I literally won't even tell people my prices or whatever. First time, and to me, it's not out of me like being anything. Like, it's out of goodwill. Like I said, I could be one of those companies that just say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna bring you these leads and give me your money." I like to tell my friend, like, all right, first of all, before you I think about working with you, what are your services? Like, what does that cost, right? How long does a client stay with you on average? It's amazing to me how many people don't know that. They're like, oh, I don't know. Or, I love when people are like 2.5 years. I'm like, BS. Like, no, like your average, like, of course we all have those clients that, been with there since the beginning, but you're averaging 2.5 years. But like you said, you have to know those things because, especially in an auction, the fit pro who can hold their breath the longest in the auction will win every single time.
That's a great tip.
Every single time. Like you said, if I know that this client is worth, $3,000 to me, all right, I'm willing to pay, I like to think 2 to 1. I'm willing to pay $1,500 for, to acquire a new client if I know it's going to give me $3,000. Now, obviously that's astronomical if we're going to, at scale, but like 2 to 1, like just imagine that if you could go to like some type of machine and you put 1,500 in, it's back 3,000 back out. I just keep doing it all day long. Like,
all day. Gotcha.
So you like say we have to understand those. Like I said, find out what their monthly cost is. And my big thing is a lot of clients we end up raising the prices. I tell them if they're like, oh it's $99, a lot of time like unfortunately I had a young lady that was messaging me the other day because I got a program coming up and I think. I can't remember what it was, but it was like 100 or 129 or something. And I had another guy that was 90. And I was like, honestly, not that it can't be done, but I don't feel comfortable advertising, especially because again, the cost to play the game, if I know that coming in just on the front end, that I'm only going to get $90 from a customer, I have to spend less than $90 to acquire them. And like that takes extreme precision, not even just in Facebook ads, in the follow-up, in the landing page. It puts so much pressure exactly on everything, on the salesperson, whoever's closing the deal. It puts so much pressure on them that long term, you're not going to be able to do that. And so, and I think a lot of people base their prices off of, the 9 rounds and the orange theories and things around there. And they're just like, oh man, they're offering, this, so I got to match it. I got to go lower. And that's not the case at all. You have to find out what the real value of your program is, right? And then you can come in and say, hey, $199 to whatever it may be. But knowing what that is, the lifetime value of a customer. And then actually I like to find out what their goals is. I ask them, why is now the right time for you? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? If they're telling me, some people are like, oh yeah, I want to bring, and again, this comes into defining what leads. If you can give me 25 leads each month, I'm good to go. Well, first of all, I know if they're saying 25 leads, I can bring you 25 leads, right? But like, I'd rather give you 25 clients, right? Is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can bring you way more than 25 leads in my 2,000, like 5,000, like how many leads you want. That's no big deal. But how many clients can we get out of that?
Right.
So those are some of the questions we asked.
I love it. And that shows the difference between what you're doing and why you're helping people. And you're being very selective on who you're taking in and not just looking, because a lot of people are in the hunt right now. I mean, everybody is buying a course and becoming an expert tomorrow. I mean, we were chatting about that a little bit in the coaching space. It's the same thing, they had failed gyms and yet now they're consultants, I just don't get it. I think that this is like, but I believe that this 2018 year, we're going to see a lot of people come and go. And I love in the coaching and you're in the agency space. When I'm looking for leads for my business, I know that what I can spend and I'm okay with spending that because most people are not going to be wanting to invest in their business long enough. Like you said, I like that analogy. I'm going to use it. I'll say it's yours for a couple of times, then it'll become mine, but hold their breath the longest. That's how you're going to win.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about metrics. I mean, I think that that's cool. I mean, what are a handful of things that, the intermediate should be looking at? Now, this is a person who can go into their business manager, open it up. They're running their own campaigns, but they may not know exactly what they're looking at. What are a couple key indicators that they should be checking out?
So I think I have a unique take on this. So first thing I hear people always say, oh, my cost per click, which I don't care about and I do care about. The first thing I always try to get, and I make sure all my clients know, or any people I'm talking to, is that, all right, in an auction, the cost to acquire a client, every step that they take, I pay for, right? So by the end of for us, it goes, ad to page to, form to scheduling to actually showing up. So I know that when someone's sitting down across from me, I've paid $163 for them to be sitting across from me, right? Just the way, all of our numbers and percentages work out. All right, I have to know those things because I'm trying to make an ROI, right? So I'm trying to close the deal. But because when you talk about metrics, the two most important are, I would say, cost per lead and cost per acquisition are at the end of the day, the most important, because those are the two numbers you can look at and say, how much did I spend? How much did I bring in, right? That's the end of the day that we need to know. However, for me, cost per click is important. Cost per lead is important. All of it's important because those different things are going to identify what's gone wrong in the process. If you know what I'm saying? So I don't care. I can spend $5 cost per click. That's fine. Just because a cost per click is high doesn't mean, oh, my campaign's bad per se. Like I said, but it allows me to see. So I can, if I know what a client's worth to me and all those things, like I said, I can kind of average out. All right, yeah, I'd like to spend, $2 per click is ideal for me. And I can see that, hey, if I'm spending $5 per click, even if I'm still converting on the back end, that this is a point that can be improved upon. And so every metric has, a culprit, if you will. So high cost per click means two things. That means either my ad copy, the message I'm sending out, isn't congruent, it's not matching up with the audience that's there, or the audience is incorrect, right? I've selected the wrong audience. And so they're just not responding to it. Because if I have something, for instance, if I go to, if we had a group of fit pros, 100 fit pros, and I say, hey, I'm selling donuts. You may get some fit pros to buy, buy donuts. But if I tell them, I got this new machine that's going to cut your client's results in half, I bet you 100, even if they don't buy, 100 of those people are going to click and find out what I have to say about that. And so the cost per click, so that's how I can look at the cost per click and see, do I really care about the cost? No, as long as I'm still converting, but it allows me to look and see, hey, is my message correct? Is my audience correct? Right? If it's good there, like I said, if I have a pretty decent cost per click, I can go to the next metric, right? Mm-hmm. I can look at, all right, landing page, how many people landed on my page, and then what percent of those people actually took, action. So let's say I'm getting a great cost per click. So that means my message is right, my audience is right. Let's say it's 80 cents, something crazy. All right, but then they landed on my page, and let's say I send 100 people there, and only 8 people take action. All right, well, my audience is great. My message is great. There's some type of disconnect on my landing page that I have to fix, right? So a lot of times when people say, oh, Facebook's broken, it may not even be Facebook, but they don't even know where to start because they don't have these things. So I'm like, all right, no, Facebook's great here. We just got to fix the landing page, right? If, they're good, we flew through the landing page, and let's say we're doing, old school, we're calling these people up, we're trying to get them in. Let's say everything on the front end is great. Ads, they come to the landing page, they filled out the form. But then let's say I got 100 people to fill out the form, but I only got 20 people, to sit down in front of me. Well, that's not that great of a return. So I know that process needs to look at, is that just the person? Is, they taking too long to get in contact with these people, or, whatever it is. So you got to be able to, so all those metrics count. And because they point to a culprit within my process. But the most important at the end of the day are really cost per acquisition, right? How much did I have to spend to get this new client, right? Like we were saying, if $2,000 is what a client's worth, I'm more than happy to spend $160 to get them in here. So to kind of answer that question, I know it's kind of long, but if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense, man. I love it that you said that, because a lot of people think that it's Facebook, and there's several steps along the sales process, as I say, when I'm telling, okay, so now you have your ad. Look at your ad copy. Is that ad copy getting that click? Right. That's what you got to sell there. And the first step is the click. Sell the click. Now they're going to go to your landing page. And if you're now, that's where I love you hit that. You said, what's that rate? I mean, if you're sending 100 clicks there and only 8, you're getting 8%. That means that something is a disconnect from ad to landing page. Right. Now that's a whole nother ball game we're talking about. We're talking about copy. We're talking about design. We're talking about congruency. Once you get all that nailed in, now if you can get, say, I personally think 50%. You got to have from 50% click there. If you're getting a 50% opt-in, that's what you should be focused on. And then taking that to, like you said, now what's the next step? Is it a call, or is it a going to someone's calendar? I find you got to do both, because sending someone to a calendar, sometimes they're excited, but they're like, I got to take, that's a micro commitment. You just ask them for 3 commitments. That's a lot of commitment in the first date. You know what I mean? So like, I'll say you get that probably about 20% maybe will opt in and do them themselves. The other 80%, you got to get somebody on the phone within 24 hours and start to get, because every 24 hours you have a lead. 4 days after a lead drops in, it's almost dead to the wind. Yeah, that's what I've found.
Yeah, I think it's, I can't remember the exact. So there was a study done on this. It's something like, for instance, let's say, like going through your funnel, for instance, if someone contacts me within 5 minutes, it's like a 98 or 95% that I'm going to take that action. An hour, I think it drops to like 85% or something like that. But if you wait 24 hours, it drops to something crazy like 50%.
Right.
48 hours, it's down to like 28%. Like literally this qualified, interested person, if you wait 48 hours, the likelihood of them taking the action that you want them to drop down to like 28%. Which is like, you got to dial those things in.
And that's what, so if you guys are watching, it's crucial that you hear what he just said there. I mean, if you don't, if you're like, oh, I'm at home and I'm chilling. If you're just starting your fitness business out, you're making less than $10,000 a month and you get a lead, you got to jump on the phone and make it happen. Because I know, like, my wife used to be like, damn, are you working all the time? And I was like, yeah, you know what? I just paid for that lead. So I'm going to hit the text message up, let them know what's up, and just want them to know, hey, I'm actually not able to chat with you really, but what's your schedule tomorrow? I got 2 times, and I'm trying to book that call in so that I can move them to the next spot in that sales process. Exactly. Cool, man. Now, what do you think is a good, like I said, 50%. I know you're getting a lot more data. What is a good opt-in rate someone should look at for moving their ad to their landing page? What do you think is something before you say, hey, you know what, you got to tweak that, dude?
So, and this may surprise you, and I only say this if ever you got to get everything else right in the back end, is I'm looking for at least 20%.
Okay.
20% is something that we can work with, right? Like, obviously we could, once everything's functioning, we can improve. And I do that mainly for clients because not everyone's a great copywriter. Not everyone's great, design. Like, so 50 for some people is just, may not be realistic for them. Obviously, as you've been doing it as long as as we have, you can dial in, the pains and things like that.
Yep.
We can get, like I said, oftentimes on my own pages, 37, 38, 40, you can get higher like that. But yeah, 20% is what I'm like, hey, look, you got to get your page at least 20% to have a chance, right?
Gotcha.
To even start to really play the game at scale is what I recommend people look at.
Awesome. So anywhere between 20 and 50%. I know, and I say that because when I'm in the B2B, I can get higher. And the B2C is definitely a little different. So I get what you're saying. You can dial that target in.
B2C, yeah, you're right. I'm like 64% compared. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, B2B, I'm sorry. Yeah, I get like 64%. You're so right there. Yeah, but B2C, a little bit different. Yeah.
Definitely. So now we got that. We've dialed that in. Now you mentioned scale because everybody's talking about scale. And I'm going to throw something out to you and just see off the cuff. I'm a small business owner. I live in a small town. Can I scale?
Yeah. Yeah, so I say yes, and I don't know what everyone's definition of scale means.
There we go.
For me, scaling just means taking, like, again, so somebody just messaged me actually and was like, yeah, my Facebook ads haven't been working. I keep increasing the budget, but it's still not working. And I'm like, first of all, that's the worst thing you can do. If something's not working, do not raise it a penny. Like, so I always start any new, especially if it's new. Now, been doing it long enough. We got, I know a starting point that we can kind of start at, but even again, think about the auction process. I like to make sure, all right, we got these systems in place. We think this is good. Maybe I think I have a kick-ass landing page, whatever it be. Let me start on this small scale, right? Just with a small budget to make sure, get some numbers through. I was with, I was at a mastermind recently, and I think, Justin Y, he launched something and his link was broken. He was sick. He the first 58 people went through and his link was broken. But he started off small. He caught it. That's good. Right. If I start off with this big budget, you can send 1,000 people through. You literally just wasted money. And so I said I like to start small because you make sure everything's right. I can see how they're reacting to the to the message. All right, the landing page. All right, we got them in. Then once I see that's working and it's profitable and nothing's broken, then I can start to increase my budget some. And to me, that is scale, right? Is when I can take something and I can repeat it, over and over again, getting the same result, but I can do it, with a larger budget, right? A little bit quicker by spending a little more money. Like I said, that's something I only want to do if I know everything's working well, right? So that's what scale means to me, at least.
Perfect. Now let's talk a little bit I want to stay with that because this is a good topic. So when you said, increase the budget so that everything stays the same. See, we know that the algorithm, if you jump too quickly, things will shift and you will start to drop that conversion. What is a good, scaling process that you utilize as you're going through? Is it $5? Is it 20%? Is it a percentage? Is it a dollar rate? Talk on that a little bit, please.
So there's a couple ways you can scale within the Facebook platform, right? And it really just depends on how you set up your campaign. Let's say that, I think I'd say I pretty do. This is where I start for most clients and even myself sometimes is, let me spend $5 or $10, right? Let me just start $5 or $10 a day or so. Maybe even 20. I would never go higher than 20 for a starting point, right? let me start here, and I'm testing something, right? Maybe it's the interest, right? The audience or the specific interest they're involved in or the behavior. And I'm just trying to test how this specific group of people that are interested in this or take this type of behavior respond to this. And so I can have, let's say I'm testing 10 different of those interests, all at, $5 or $10 a day. Well, awesome. If I see that, out of those 10, 7 are performing well, I can scale by one, selecting those 7, and I can increase the budget. Now, like you said, if I just hike the budget up, you mess up the algorithm because the algorithm is told to take your budget and the conversion you're trying to get, the step you're trying to get them to take, and say, find as many of these steps that you can within this budget. So again, it's working for you. And so once it starts to kind of find that flow and it starts working, if you jump it up, well, then it messes up. It has to really literally go back and start back to zero and say, all right, now I'm trying to find, these same amount of actions within this room. So it restarts it, throws everything out of whack. And so a good range to kind of scale between is about 15 to 30%, right? And what it's really more importantly going to depend on as well is how big your audience is, how many people you can actually reach. Like if I only can reach 10,000 people, there's no reason for me to scale past, $10, maybe 15, but you're going to run for that audience, right? There's really only so many people you can reach. Mm-hmm. So a good recommendation that I tell people, if you're doing it that way, is $10 per every 10,000 people in the audience, right? $10 a day per 10,000 people in the audience. So again, if you get all your targeting right, there's only 10,000 people in that audience, that ad set should never go higher than $10, right? And so on and so on. But yeah, you could increase that, by just, selecting the budget, and Facebook allows you, it'll say, just increase it a percentage. You can put 15% in there. It'll take you, $5 daily budget to $7.25, $7.50. That's good. So that's one way to scale. The other way to scale is, let's say again, I'm testing all these interests separately, right? Just at $5 a day. Well, if I find that those 7 are converting, I can combine those 7, create a new ad set, and combine those 7 into one big audience now, right? Which may make my audience size bigger. Maybe it takes, maybe they had 10,000 each. When you put them together, it's, 90,000 people. Well, again, first of all, I already know that these interests are converting. They're responding to the message I want. And I have a bigger audience size, right? And so at scale, I can combine them. And maybe I start with, $25 or, $30. So there's a couple of different ways you can try to scale a campaign there. But budget is the most common way to do it. And like I said, you got to do it in increments, no more than 15 to 30%.
Great tips, man. I love that tip where you said, $10 for every 10,000 you reach, because that's something that a lot of people don't know. A lot of gurus, a lot of fit people are out there talking about, scale. Right. I got, 2,000 leads for this. And no one really knows this stuff unless you're actually got your hands in the game and playing with it. And someone like yourself who is helping a lot of people do it, you got a lot of data. And I believe that data, one thing I can tell people if you're watching this, numbers tell the truth, people lie. So, you got to trust the numbers. Yeah. Last couple questions, because I really appreciate your time here today. One is I want to talk about, there are a lot of courses out there. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of people teaching Facebook. And, when someone says to me, Roz, what's the best course? I personally tell them there is no best course because shit's changing so quickly. But I do believe that I know I've studied some different people so that I can get the groundwork understanding. I think that one of the guys, John Loomer, he's really smart. He's always up to date with his stuff. Mm-hmm. What do you prescribe when someone says, I don't really have the finances right now to hire a agency to do it on a monthly basis, but I want to get started. I want to learn. Where would you point them?
First place, I always place people because, again, my philosophy is I want to work with Facebook. And so I've actually seen, some courses or things that even clients have told me that people are teaching things that directly go against Facebook. Like Facebook literally just says, don't do these things, but they're doing the opposite. Mm-hmm. And so I always say start with Facebook Blueprint. Facebook Blueprint is free. It's built by Facebook and it's updated as well. Mm. And it's not going to solve all your problems, but it starts to allow you to understand what Facebook's trying to accomplish, what each little button in their platform is designed to do. And so that's why I always tell people to start, because like I say, especially a lot of, if I'm intermediate or beginner, understand, like I said, just kind of understanding like how this works. Like, what should I select? Like, what is the auction? How, like, they just explain. Facebook Blueprint literally has an article called "How to Win the Facebook Auction." Like, like, go read it. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
That's where I tell people to start, for sure. And I was talking to somebody recently, and they're like, "Yeah, we were talking about doing some JVs, partnerships, and things." And they're like, "Well, let me know when you get a course." And I started to create my course, and I stopped it because, like you, I'm not a huge fan of courses, because as soon as you send something out, first of all, if I'm going to make it very valuable, I can't just have the basics, right? The basics never really change. So I could put the basics in there and sell the course, but that's not going to be too much value. But if I start to, put some certain techniques, that literally may be gone in 3 months. And that's another thing a lot of people were experiencing. It's like, hey, my ads were working beginning of last year. They're not working now. I didn't change a thing. There you go. That's the problem, right? Because you can't just run the same. Everyone's running the same thing, same type of copy, the same type of, like, you have to change with the time. You have to be able, to test different things and see, what's really going to be working and sending out. And so, yeah, like, if I can't make a course and say, yeah, do it this way, because then in 3 months it literally may not work anymore. And then you got a bunch of people who are pissed off. And so, yeah, I'm not a big fan of courses either, but I always say start with Facebook Blueprint. I tell most people, you don't need a coach, most likely. You really don't, right? You just need to understand, the process of Facebook. And then, like I said, to me, whenever you should have some type of basic Facebook knowledge before you hire anybody, right? Even I get, some successful. I have some people like, it's not in my 5%, 100%. It's not. But if you don't understand what's going on, I still tell you, don't hire me as an agent, like, because then you become reliant on this agency or this coach, to be your savior, and you don't even understand. And so I've heard, people, they get burned or they raise their prices or whatever, and it's like, now it's back to me, and I haven't touched this stuff in 2 years. It's like, no way, not in my business at least. Like, I'm not letting somebody come in and I don't even, understand, even if they, like, yeah, I got some success with them, but just because they have success, I still want to stay on top of it. Because at the end of the day, if we go bankrupt, it's on me, right?
Yep.
So, that's my take on courses.
Outstanding, man. I love that you said that. I tell all my guys, all my members and my Kaizen mastermind group, here's what I want you to do. Learn the basics so that when you can get to a point where you're at 10 to 20,000, we call that stable zone, where now it isn't in your 5%. I don't want to go into my business manager and look at that shit. Right. I want someone else to do it. And now that where we are, I do have someone to do it. And that's what's great. But when they send me my report, I want to be able to analyze it. Exactly. Just like I can, when my CPA sends me my balance sheet and my income statement, I know, okay, shit's in line. This is working. Oh, that ain't working. We need to change that. We need to change. And that's what being a business owner is about. And operating your business from a standpoint of using data and numbers, as opposed to hoping, wishing, and throwing shit against the wall to see what sticks.
And I want to make, I know there's all different type of level of people watching this, but I was literally just helping a Fit Pro who he has like 8 locations. Like, he's a successful dude, and like you said, it kind of just thought it was 1%. He had delegated it, and this last month or so, he launched a few new locations, and he had delegated ads, and they spent, I think he spends like $5,000 per location, and they only brought in 8 new people on their front end offer. And so he was like, talking about Facebook, and I'm like, but he didn't he didn't know what the number that he did. I'm like, yeah, that shit cannot happen. Like, you're in a place now that you're like, got to look at these locations and potentially close them all because you weren't staying on top. Like I said, yeah, if I got somebody delegating, you got to give me a weekly report, and I got to be able to understand what this actually means. There's no way I'm just like, 6-8 weeks later, I'm like, oh, we spent $5,000 per location, we got 8 people in, so yeah, I just say that to say it doesn't just happen for the small people. It's more likely to happen to someone who is successful, that has these things going for them. It's like, oh, yeah, it's not my 5%. You got to stay on top of it as well.
Absolutely. Great stuff, man. Well, I really appreciate your time here. I know that people are watching this, probably got a ton of value from it, but some of it maybe went over their head because of the conversation we're having. If someone wanted to, look at, find out, connect with you, find out what resources, find out a little bit more about your services, where would you like to point them?
So the best way for me, like I said, I'm not big on course or anything like that. It's just to connect with me through Facebook. I actually have a free Facebook community. It's called Marketing Mastery for fitness business owners. I believe that link will show up here. Free group, and what's really cool about it is, yeah, well, I can give, some basics and some strategies and tips about it, but it's real time, right? So it's kind of always updated. As more fit pros, like, across the nation post in there and things, it becomes this really good knowledge center because you're seeing, oh, this works here, or you can see kind of the trends in, successful ads, or, when people post and things like that. And so that community is huge for me. Like I said, just from a value standpoint. I've done a really good job of protecting it. There's no, people pitching, the messages and things like that. We're not a huge group, so I haven't done with that yet. I think there's only like 400 of Fit Pros or so in there. But I'm really, really, I personally go and review. So that's a great place, a community for Fit Pros to go into just to learn, like I said, post. I'll give feedback. Other people can give feedback in there on what they've seen. Is a great way. Like I said, Facebook, man. Like I said, Eiljah Bowie. You can find me on Facebook. And yeah, like I said, I'd love to chat with anybody and help give value wherever I can.
Outstanding. And it's going to be seeing this guy a lot. He's an up and coming guy who's been doing it. He's built his own business, and he really comes from a great place, and he's humble. That's why we really vibe. We were having a chat a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I have to get him on the show. I want to make sure that he can share. He should provide so much value to the communities that I'm a part of, that I've seen. And this is why I reached out to him, and I wanted to have him on here. Eiljah, thank you so much for your time, my brother. I do look forward to the opportunity of working with you and doing some other things in the future as well.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So that's Roz Slaughter here with FitnessBusinessMastery.com and Eiljah Bowie. We'll see you guys all soon. Make it a great day. Go out there and make an impact. Take care.